Great. OK，咁大家好，多謝大家今日出嚟聽我哋個 Hayward 屋主嘅 workshop。我個名係鄭永順，英文名係 Vanilla Chang， 我係個律師，係喺 HERA 做工嘅。咁今日個 workshop 咧，我哋係會講HOA 管理處啲通常見嗰啲問題啦。其他咧係會講埋COVID-19 新冠肺炎啲屋主啲問題咧。譬如如果你係因為係 COVID-19 係令到你俾唔起你啲貸款 payment 或者其他啲屋主嗰啲 payment， 咁我哋今日可以同你講下解釋下啲算限額保護啦。咁我啲廣東話其實唔係好正嘅，所以我今日係有鄧先生喺度係會幫我做個翻譯嘅。咁我係會講英文，鄧先生係會幫我翻譯到廣東話嘅。好。Okay, so 8 Homeowners Associations, 業主協會. So first we'll be covering HOA basics for HOA homeowners. Okay, so HOAs. So who are the common players in an HOA? The first is the HOA Board of Directors, and they are made up of volunteers in the HOA community, and they speak on behalf of the HOA.
咁首先咧就係講係業主協會 HOA 個會員同規則啦。咁裏邊係首先就係有邊一啲嘅參與者啦。咁首先我哋會係注意到有係叫董事啦。咁就佢哋咧都係義工嚟嘅。咁咧就係參與咧係管理呢個係大家共住嘅地方啊。
There's also the property management company, debt collectors, and HOA's lawyers, and then of course the HOA homeowners.
咁當然除咗係董事會之外咧，又係物業管理嘅公司啦，有呢個係 HOA 嘅律師啦，有呢個係債務嘅催收員啦，係當然亦都有係一般嘅業主嘅。
And then there are a couple, to back up. So the HOA board has the ultimate decision if there are any HOA disputes, and they are also responsible for running the HOA, making repairs, and just making general decisions about the HOA.
咁董事會咧係如果係有啲乜嘢嘅爭議嘅話咧，咁咧就董事會有權咧係去做決定嘅。咁亦都咧係如果係需要有係呢個居住嘅屋苑需要係有維修啊咩咧，咁董事會係有權做決定咁樣。
Okay, and then the HOA homeowners, like yourselves, you guys are responsible for paying dues and for keeping up with your HOA payments, which are required as part of belonging in the HOA community.
咁作為一般嘅業主，大家咁咧就係有責任係俾呢個 HOA 嘅會費啦。由 HOA 可能需要有啲係徵收嘅費用啊咁。咁作為你係屬於呢個同一個屋苑同一個 HOA 成員嘅大家庭嘅一個責任咁樣。
So what kinds of HOA rules apply to homeowners? There are a couple of different sources of rules, but the most important rules governing the HOA are the covenants, conditions, and restrictions, or CC&R.
咁究竟係邊一啲咧同 HOA 相關嘅係規則咧適用於業主咧？咁咧有好幾樣嘢嘅。咁咧包括咧係最重要嘅係來源咧就包括以下啦，係一個咧叫做係契約條件同埋限制 CC&RS 咁樣嘅。
There's also the bylaws, the HOA's bylaws, and this is what you will review if you want to look for more information about HOA elections, meetings, and voting procedures.
咁第二咧就係HOA 嗰個章程啦，嗰個憲章啦。咁如果係你想了解下呢個 HOA 點樣選舉啊，相關嘅嘢咧，咁你就係應該係睇呢一份文件啦。
There's also the HOA rules and regulations, and those govern your day-to-day life at the HOA, such as quiet hours, pool hours, the gym facilities, and things like that.
咁跟住咧就係亦都有 HOA 嘅規則同埋條款啦。咁你如果係想了解下日常嘅生活裏邊咧係要守啲咩規矩咧，咩時間係唔可以係造成噪音啊，或者係如果有泳池嘅話係幾時係用個泳池啊，幾時使用啲設施啊，咁咧就係要睇呢一份文件啦。
And then finally, there's the Davis-Sterling Act in California. This is the California law that governs HOAs in California.
咁亦都係啦，係一個係加州嘅法例咧，叫 Davis-Sterling 係法案嘅，咁係民法4000條裏邊咧係呢一個法例咧就係監管咧係所有喺加州嘅 HOA 嘅。
Okay. So there are some common questions when it comes to participating in your HOA. So first is there are always questions about board meetings. So a board meeting is when the required number of HOA directors is gathered at the same time and place to discuss HOA business that's within the board's authority.
有關係呢個係HOA 係點樣運作咧？其中有啲常見嘅問題啦。咁一個就係包括係董事會啦 ，HOA 嘅董事會，當係足夠人數嘅係 HOA 嘅董事咧，係聚埋一齊咧係開會咧，咁咧佢就係有權去做一啲決定㗎。
Okay, so if you want to know the time and location of these board meetings, the HOA is supposed to give you advance notice and also give you an agenda of topics that they're planning to discuss at the meeting. And sometimes there are rules in Davis-Sterling about timing and location of meetings. And usually HOAs will follow these rules.
咁咧就係如果你想知道咧係個董事會係幾時開會地點喺邊度嘅話咧，咁咧就係有規定咧係董事會開會之前咧要提前幾多時間咧係通知呢個會員嘅。咁按照呢個係正話所提過係 Davis-Sterling 係法案咧裏邊係有提到呢一啲咁嘅仔細嘅情況嘅。
Okay, and so homeowners should get at least 4 days of notice before a board meeting, unless the HOA governing documents say that they have to give you more notice than 4 days.
咁個基本要求咧就係屋主咧喺呢個董事會開會之前咧，屋主應該係提前4日，最少4日啦，得到通知嘅。除非呢個管理呢個係屋苑嘅管理嘅文件上邊係清楚寫為係個日期係唔一樣，除非係。
Okay, and then so any HOA member can attend. Any HOA member that's listed on title for their property can attend these meetings. Tenants, however, generally cannot attend the board meetings, but sometimes in some HOAs they are allowed to attend.
咁通常咧係喺呢個係契約上邊咧係屋契上邊係列出嚟名單嘅業主咧係都有權係參加呢個係董事會嘅會議。一般咧如果係租客咧就係冇權參加嘅。咁除非咧喺個別嘅呢個係 HOA 嘅規定裏邊咧係有話連租客都去參加咧，咁就係例外。
And then, so there are some topics that can be discussed in general board meetings, and that would just be whatever's on the agenda and within the board's authority. If the topic is not on the agenda, then they probably won't address your question that day.
咁一般咧係開會係有個議程啦，咁如果喺個議程上邊咧，呢個係董事會會議嘅議程上邊有列出嚟嘅話題咧，係都可以攞嚟討論嘅。咁如果上邊冇列出嘅話咧，係通常意思即係話咧就係唔可以提出討論㗎啦。
So if you have a particular issue that you want the board to address, you should write a request to the board to meet and confer, especially if it's a particular question specific to your own unit.
如果你有啲係特別嘅問題，尤其是係同你個單位相關嘅問題嘅話，你想喺董事會裏邊討論嘅話咧，你可以喺提前咧係提出一個要求向董事會，咁一個要求佢哋咧係所謂 meet and confer， 即係話開會同埋討論你要關心嘅議題咁樣㗎。
So typical topics that are discussed at these board meetings include things like upgrades to the building, or if they need to discuss getting a new roof on the building, or if there's a special assessment that might need to be charged, and security guards or cameras, and topics like that.
佢典型咧喺董事會裏邊討論到嘅問題咧，譬如話要係將個係樓房咧係升級啊，要裝一個新嘅瓦面啊，或者係有啲係特殊嘅需要啦，係有個特殊嘅呢個徵收費用啊咁樣，或者係需要裝呢個係保安用嘅呢個照相機啊等等，呢類咁嘅問題咧都係好典型喺呢個係董事會裏邊咧嘅會議裏邊討論嘅。
So there are also executive sessions. The board can hold an executive session with just the board of directors, and these meetings are not open to the general HOA members.
咁呢個董事會咧，亦都可以啦，係話呢個會議咧係一個行政會議嚇。咁咧行政會議咧就限制咧，淨係呢個董事會嘅成員先可以參加，就唔向全體會員開放嘅。咁係可以咁嘅情況。
So there are only some permitted topics that they can discuss in these executive sessions. For example, in these sessions, they can discuss lawsuits against the HOA, delinquent homeowner accounts, payment plans for some homeowners, and any disciplinary issues.
咁一啲典型嘅話題咧，就係啲需要係行政會議討論咧，就係譬如話，如果係呢個 HOA 被係控告、被法律訴訟控告嚇，或者係咧係討論到某一啲嘅屋主咧係就拖欠咗係HOA 嘅費用啊，或者係具體講都係某個屋主嘅係帳戶嘅裏邊嘅情況啊，呢啲咁嘅情況咧，都會係透過行政會議啦，係閉門會議咧係討論嘅。
Okay, so for an executive session, the board of directors must actually hold a meeting to discuss. It can't be where one director tells something to another director who then tells something to another director. It has to be a formal meeting.
呢個行政會議嘅性質咧，必須要係一個係正式嘅會議嘅，係全部人一齊全部呢個係董事參加，而唔可以咧係舉行好似所謂菊花鏈串接式嘅會議，即係話某一個係董事咧同另外一個董事傾，另外一個董事又同第三個董事傾，咁樣嘅會議係唔可以嘅。
Okay, and then the information discussed in these sessions is confidential.
咁呢個行政會議嘅討論嘅裏邊涉及嘅資訊咧係保密嘅。
Okay, so if you want to participate and run for the board of directors, there are some required qualifications, and those should be in your HOA governing documents. So check the bylaws.
咁成為呢個係董事會成員咧，係要有咩資格咧？如果你要出選嘅話咧，需要具備咩資格咧？咁通常係一個你 HOA 嘅管事嘅文件咧，裏邊咧係有詳細說明嘅。
And if you don't agree with the results of an election, then you can, challenge the election if you had the right to vote in the election.
咁你如果係唔認同嗰個選舉嘅結果咧，任何有權喺選舉中投票嘅人咧，都有權咧係對選舉嘅結果提出質疑㗎。
And I will mention that some HOAs prevent you from running for the board of directors if you haven't been keeping up with your HOA dues.
咁要提一提嘅就係有一啲 HOA 咧係如果你係冇係準時交你應該係嘅費用嘅話咧，佢有權咧係用呢個做理由咧係禁止你係出選做呢個董事會成員㗎。
Okay. So if you have any issues with your HOA's governance, depending on the issue, you might be able to raise the issue with the California Attorney General's office.
咁你如果係對你個 HOA 嘅管治問題咧有投訴咧，視乎你投訴嘅性質咧嘅究竟係邊方面咧，你可以係提交至到咧係加州咧係總檢察長嘅辦公室咧係向總檢察長提出投訴。
And the AG's office can only regulate certain issues of the HOA. So, for example, if the HOA is not holding regular meetings or is obstructing voting or is not allowing you to inspect documents that you have a right to inspect.
咁有啲例子就係話總檢察長咧係可以插手嘅，就係話呢個 HOA 冇舉行應該舉行嘅定期會議啦，妨礙投票啊，你要查文件唔俾你查啊，冇按時舉行特別會議啊，冇保存帳簿嘅記錄啊，呢類咁嘅問題咧都係可以投訴係總檢察長嘅。
However, the Attorney General's office cannot help you with all kinds of HOA issues. For example, if you are upset that your HOA is increasing your HOA dues, that's probably not something the AG's office can help you with.
咁但係咧就總檢察長辦公室咧唔係所有事咧都會插手嘅嚇。咁舉個例子，譬如話，如果你嘅 HOA 咧要加你嘅 HOA 嘅會費咧，咁呢啲問題佢就係唔會理㗎啦，咁樣嚇。
And sometimes the only option you have is to sue the HOA for certain issues. And if you have particular questions, feel free to contact HERA to discuss.
咁有時咧，你係冇第二啲辦法，可能就係要去呢個控告呢個 HOA 咧，先至可以得㗎。咁如果你有啲咩特別嘅問題，你想係得到幫助咧，可以嘗試咧係聯絡我哋嘅組織叫做HERA 啦嚇。
So we can now talk through what happens to get an HOA violation. So if you are violating some sort of HOA rule, first the HOA is supposed to give you a couple of weeks. And if after a couple of weeks you haven't fixed the issue, then they will send you a violation notice.
咁跟住咧想講講咧係如果係你被指控話你係違反咗呢個係 HOA 嘅規定咧，咁咧就會出現啲咩情況嘅嚇？咁首先就係話，如果係佢覺得你係違反咗咧，首先咧佢就會去發個係違規嘅通知俾你咧，俾3幾個星期你係改正咁樣嚇。
And if you do get a citation, it is worthwhile to send a written response with your defense to the board so that the board can actually review it ahead of your hearing.
咁跟住就係話會係董事會會開會嚟聽你嘅呢個情況啦。咁但係就建議你咧係值得喺開會之前咧係做一個係針對你嘅指控做個答辯嘅。咁於是咧喺董事會開會嘅時候咧，應該行政會議上邊咧你就可以得到係考慮你嘅觀點啦。
So when a hearing is scheduled, the hearing is usually held in executive session. And during the executive session, you can bring witnesses and evidence. And then you can also take a look at what the HOA has submitted against you. And oftentimes at these hearings, only one board member will be attending.
Only one board member?
Yes.
哦，OK。咁咧通常咧係呢個會係透過呢個行政會議舉行嘅呢個聽證會，咁咧就係到時你去嘅話咧，你就係應該準備晒你嘅證人啦、你嘅證據啦，咁亦都咧係針對 HOA 咧係針對你嘅觀點啊嘅文件啊上邊所寫嘅嘢啦。準備答辯嘅，咁通常咧呢一層咧就會係由一個呢個董事會嘅成員咧係聽你講嘅啫。
So after the hearing, you should get a notice of the board's decision, and that should be sent to you. And if you disagree with their decision, you will have an opportunity to appeal the decision.
咁呢個舉行咗呢個行政會議之後咧，你會咧就好快咧得到呢個係HOA 咧發出通知咧係佢哋嘅決定係點樣嚇，咁個決定裏邊咧係亦都會提到咧係如果你係唔同意嘅話咧，有啲咩選擇，包括上訴嘅可能嘅。
Okay. So let's talk about HOA assessment issues. So if you are on title to the property, then you are on the hook to pay HOA assessments.
接住落去我哋講到咧係 HOA 徵收費用嘅問題嘅。如果係房產地契上邊咧，你嘅名係列咗上去嘅話咧，你大概咧就係避唔開咧，一定要係支付係相關嘅費用噶啦。
And the HOA's right to collect dues from you is outlined in the CC&Rs and by law.
HOA 係有權向你係呢個追收帳款嗰個權咧，係喺 CC&R 同埋 HOA 嘅章程裏邊咧係有描述到㗎。
And just a reminder that paying your HOA is just as important as paying your mortgage. You have to keep up with both.
咁咧想提醒大家咧，就係話支付呢個 HOA 嘅費用咧，同埋支付你嘅房貸嘅費用咧，其實係同樣重要嘅。
Okay. So there are different types of HOA assessments. There are your regular assessments. Those are your HOA dues. Those are set each year, and every year it can't be more than 20% greater than last year's assessments.
咁咧有HOA 徵收嘅費用咧係有幾種唔同嘅類型嘅。咁首先一種就係定期嘅徵收費用啦，亦都係稱作咧 HOA 嘅會費啦，就係每年咧係會決定嘅，跟住嗰年係幾多。每一年嘅增收嘅費用咧係規定係唔可以超過上一年嘅定期徵收費用嘅20%。
Then there are also special assessments. So these are charged by the HOA when there are unexpected expenses or capital improvements.
咁另外一種類型咧就係所謂特殊徵收嘅費用，就係出現咩情況咧？就係喺呢個出現咗意外嘅開支或者資本改善工程有需要做呢啲嘢嘅時候咧，係就可能會徵收啦。
If the special assessment is more than 5% of the HOA's annual budget, then these have to be approved by the general HOA membership.
如果個特殊徵收費用咧係高於年度嘅預算嘅5%咧，咁咧呢個決定咧係必須獲得係全體會員咧 HOA 全體會員嘅批准嘅。
Then there are emergency assessments. So this can be charged by the HOA in an emergency. There's no cap to these assessments, and they don't require approval by the HOA membership.
咁跟住咧就另外一種咧就叫做係緊急徵收嘅費用。緊急徵收費用咧就冇係金額嘅上限嘅，亦都咧係無需咧係全體會員批准。
So for example, if your water heater breaks, it's going to cost money to repair, and that can be charged as an emergency assessment.
舉例子咧，譬如話你個係呢個係熱水爐咧係 提供熱水俾屋苑嘅係壞咗嘅話咧，咁咧就係呢個係緊急嘅情況咧，冇咗係唔得嘅。咁於是咧就係呢個 HOA 可以啦，係徵收緊急嘅徵收費用咧嚟係維修或者係購買呢個係新㗎啦嚇。
So what constitutes an emergency? Typically, other than that example, it's some sort of extraordinary expense or something where there's a threat to personal safety, things like that.
咁究竟點樣先構成緊急情況咧？咁通常咧就係一啲需要係所做嘅工程啊咩咧，係需要好大量嘅費用嘅。呢個係一個方面。另一方面咧就係話個狀況咧係威脅到人身安全，通常係兩種情況。
Okay. So, if you are looking to buy a condo, and you want to learn about potential special assessments, whether you are already a condo owner or you're looking to join an HOA community, it's important to do your due diligence and learn how to stay informed about potential assessments you might be charged.
無論你係計劃咧係準備購買一個係共渡公寓啦，或者你本身已經係一個共渡公寓屋主嘅話咧，你都有責任咧係做足功課咧，去了解咧呢一個屋苑咧會唔會咧係有啲情狀咧，有啲狀況咧係需要咧係有特殊徵收費用嘅，咁於是心裏有底嚇。
So some things you can do is to review the HOA's financial statements and ask the HOA about their budget and their reserve funds. And look at those funds to see if the HOA has money to pay for potential costs that might be coming down the pipeline.
咁所以咧要做嘅嘢就係話睇呢個 HOA 嗰個財務嘅報表啊，佢儲備金啊、預算啊，睇下佢有冇足夠嘅錢咧嚟應急，會唔會係唔夠錢嘅話，於是係好容易咧一出狀況嘅時候咧就需要咧係特殊徵收費用啦。
So if you need these kinds of documents, or if you're looking for these documents, you can send a written request to the property management company, and they should be able to give you these documents. They might charge you like a small fee to make copies of documents, but they should be able to give you these documents.
咁你如果係想攞呢啲咁嘅文件嚟睇嘅話咧，你可以向呢個物業管理公司咧，個物業管理公司咧係書面係提出要求。咁呢個公司可能會係收你一個係小額嘅係複印文件嘅費用都未定。咁但係咧就係應該係可以係從佢哋嗰方面係攞到嘅。
And another thing you can do is review the HOA meeting minutes or sit in on meetings and learn things about what the HOA is planning to do in terms of, amenities upgrades or things like that.
咁另外一種方式咧就係正式係參與呢個 HOA 嘅會議後，或者係睇 HOA 會議嘅係會議記錄，從中咧你可以睇到咧係呢個 HOA 咧會否係計劃啦係更新佢哋嘅便利設施啊，會有咩重大嘅使費，咁你會知道啦。
So you can also evaluate the HOA's maintenance practices, ask about the HOA history, and just talk to your neighbors and ask about, what's going on in your community.
咁亦都可以啦，係去了解下呢個 HOA 咧嗰個佢習慣咧做維修嗰個慣例係點樣咧？佢以往嘅歷史係點樣咧？咁你可以同鄰居同你嘅鄰居係交談當中咧，亦都係掌握到更多關於呢個 HOA 嘅情況啦。
Yeah, so these are the types of questions you can ask whether you're already an HOA homeowner or before you purchase a property in an HOA community.
呢啲以上嘅問題咧，都係無論你係作為一個係考慮係是否購買一個係 HOA 一個單位共渡單位或者係本身已經係 HOA 嘅成員，已經係擁有單位嘅時候咧，都可以係向呢啲方向咧去了解呢個 HOA 嘅情況嘅。
Okay, so The HOA can collect delinquent balances from you. If you haven't been paying your HOA dues, they have a couple of options to try to get those dues from you. But that depends on how much you owe and how long you've been delinquent.
呢個 HOA 咧，亦都有權咧係當你係拖欠呢個 HOA 嘅費用嘅時候咧，有權向你係追收嘅拖欠嘅款項嘅。咁佢有幾種方式㗎，用咩方式視乎咧你拖欠嘅費用咧係個金額到幾多，同埋咧係拖欠咗幾多時間嘅。
So if you are behind on your HOA assessments by less than $1,800, or if you haven't been delinquent for that long, for example, if you haven't been delinquent for over 12 months, then the HOA can sue you in small claims court, and they can put a lien on your property, but they cannot start foreclosure proceedings against you.
咁比方話你係拖欠佢徵收嘅費用咧，係唔多於1800蚊，而且咧係拖欠嘅時間咧係唔到12個月嘅話咧，咁咧就 HOA 咧就可以上呢個小額錢債法院去控告你係攞翻你拖欠嘅錢，或者係擺個係所謂留置一個扣押咧喺你個單位度，但係咧就係法律咧規定係唔可以，如果係咁嘅情況，但係仲係唔可以咧係發拍屋嘅。
But if you owe more than $1,800 in HOA dues, or if you've been more than 12 months delinquent, then at that point, the HOA could initiate foreclosure proceedings against you.
但係咧，如果情況咧係你拖欠嘅徵收費用超過1800蚊，又或者咧你拖欠嘅時間超過12個月嘅話咧，咁咧即係呢個 HOA 咧就除咗可以係追喺呢個小額錢債法院嚟追你扣押仲可以係發拍屋嘅，係透過法院嚟拍賣你個單位嘅。
Okay, so the HOA foreclosure process starts with the homeowner falling behind on their assessments. You have to be behind by at least 30 days.
咁呢個發拍屋嘅流程，你見到呢個圖咧，就係最初就係業主拖欠徵收嘅費用啦。咁如果係超過30日嘅話咧，咁咧就係呢個HOA 就可以係開始呢個係發拍屋嘅流程㗎啦。
If you've been behind by 30 days, then the board can then pass a resolution to record a lien against your property.
係啦，咁如果係你拖欠超過30日咧，呢個董事會咧就可以通過一個係決議案咧，將你個留置咧係記錄在
案。And then after that, before they record the lien, they have to first send you a pre-lien notice. And this notice must contain very specific language. This is laid out in the California Civil Code. And if the language does not conform to what's in the code, you can actually challenge the notice and make the HOA start this process over again.
咁咧就係喺未正式係將你個留置記錄在案之前咧，呢個 HOA 咧係必須要係發一個所謂預留置通知俾你。呢個通知裏邊咧係必須要包含咧係加州嘅民事法裏邊咧一啲係具體嘅用語，一定要係同嗰個規定嘅用語一樣嘅。如果咧係個通知上邊嘅用語咧係同嗰個用語係唔一樣嘅話咧，咁實際上你可以對佢呢個通知咧係發起一個係抗辯嘅發起挑戰嘅。
Okay, then after they send the pre-lien notice, the HOA has to wait 30 days before they can actually record the lien against your property.
好啦，發出呢個預留置通知之後咧，呢個 HOA 當局必須要等多30日咧，睇下你點反應咧，佢先至去作下一步咧，就正式咧真係將你個單位咧係記錄在案係留置啦。
So if you get to the stage where the HOA records a lien, the HOA can then there can be something called a notice of default. filed recorded against your property. And those can happen simultaneously if you are over the $1,800 threshold or if you're more than 12 months delinquent.
咁與此同時咧，喺做咗呢個係留置記錄在案之外咧，呢、個亦都可以係發一個係違約通知嘅 NOD， 係將佢係記錄在案嚇。咁兩件事可以係同時係發生嘅。如果你係拖欠超過係1800元，亦都係同時係拖欠超過12個月嘅話。
And then after that, there must be 90 days that pass before something called a notice of trustee sale can be recorded against your home.
咁要呢件事發生之後，要係起碼90日咧，下一步咧係呢個 HOA 就可以要求發出一個係信託人出售通知，記錄在案嚇，OK。
And then after the notice of trustee sale is recorded, then there must be at least 21 days between when that notice is recorded and a foreclosure sale takes place. So there has to be a 3-week gap between the notice of trustee sale and the actual foreclosure sale.
咁發出咗係信託人出售通知記錄在案之後咧，最少要3個星期21日咧，先至可以正式將你個單位咧攞出嚟係拍賣嘅，即係正式做發牌屋。
And then for HOA assessment, delinquent assessments specifically, even after the foreclosure sale takes place, there is a 90-day right of redemption period. And this means that when the foreclosure sale happens, title does not actually transfer on the foreclosure sale day. Instead, the property is actually placed into suspense.
如果係欠嘅係呢個係 HOA 徵收嘅費用，喺發拍屋完成之後咧，嗰個產權咧其實咧就係唔會係即刻係轉移嘅。咁你仍然有90天嘅時間咧，係改變呢個命運咧，係仲有90天嘅贖回權。
So for 90 days, if you are able to come up with all of the payments to pay back all of your past assessments, you can actually try to get your condo back. So you do have that 90-day extra period after the foreclosure sale to try to redeem your property.
係啦，咁如果係個發拍屋呢個程序完成之後咧，其實作為屋主咧，你仲有90日嘅時間咧。如果係你喺90日裏邊咧，係能夠籌足晒錢咧，歸還晒所有你拖欠嘅嘢啊，所有係罰金啊、欠款啊，全部歸還晒咧，你仍然可以咧係有權咧係贖回你個單位嘅。
And one thing to note is that you cannot lose your home due to fines and penalties. It's just for HOA assessments, so including HOA assessment late fees. But fines and penalties, for example, if you had a penalty for painting your door the wrong color or something like that, they cannot foreclose on you for those kinds of fees.
但係要講清楚嘅就係，如果係你欠嘅係罰金嘅話，舉個例子，譬如話你將道門咧係油咗個顏色咧，呢個係 HOA 董事會覺得係唔啱嘅，咁咧就係唔可以因為佢俾罰你錢咧，你唔俾個罰錢咧，就係將你個單位係做發拍屋嘅，唔可以嘅。只可以係基於咧呢個係徵收嘅費用咧係你冇俾咧拖欠咧，先至可以係用咁嘅理由咧係進行呢個係發拍屋嘅流程嘅。
So if you are delinquent on your HOA dues, you can be limited in your participation in the HOA in certain ways, but there are some exceptions.
咁如果係你係拖欠呢個 HOA 嘅款項嘅話咧，咁咧就係呢個 HOA 可以限制你參加呢個 HOA 嘅活動，但係咧就係有以下嘅情況係例外嘅。
So some exceptions are that they can't control you coming and going from your property. They can't control. They can't limit your elevator access, and they can't limit your meeting attendance, and they can't stop collecting your trash and things like that.
呢個一啲例子就係話你進出呢個係屋苑咧，係佢唔可以禁止你啦。你進出電梯使用電梯唔可以禁止啦，亦都唔可以禁止你參加會議啦。唔可以停止收你嘅單位嘅垃圾，亦都唔可以停止你個單位所用嘅水電啊公用事業嘅服務。
The HOA can't, as I mentioned earlier, the HOA cannot foreclose for monetary penalties, but they can sue you for those.
剛才都提過啦，就係 HOA 唔可以咧係因為咧係罰金嘅原因咧而係進行呢個法拍屋嘅，咁亦都唔可以用呢個做理由咧，就係淨係呢個理由嚟起訴你。並不表示不可以起訴係嘛？ That doesn't mean they cannot sue you。並不表示係唔可以起訴你嚇，應該係。
Okay. So Davis-Sterling Act, that's the act that governs HOAs in California, and that gives condo homeowners a lot of rights in California. For example, you have the right under Davis-Sterling to meet and confer with your HOA board, and in order to try to resolve a dispute.
咁係根據咧呢個係Davis-Sterling 法案咧係喺所有呢個係共渡屋宇嘅共渡公寓嘅呢個係業主咧係都有相當嘅權利嘅受到保護嘅。咁其中一樣嘢咧就係同呢個 HOA 當局咧係會面同埋協商嘅權利。如果大家有啲咩爭議咧，你有權要求咧同佢開會係傾嘅。
And if you want to meet and confer with the HOA board, it's best to do so in writing. So send them a letter or an email.
如果你想同呢個 HOA 嘅董事會咧係傾嘅話咧，最好嘅方式咧就係提出書面嘅要求啦。
You also have a right to a payment plan if you're behind on your HOA assessments. Or no, you have a right to discuss a payment plan with the HOA board. They're not obligated to offer you a plan, but you do have the right to talk about that option with them.
你有權咧係同呢個 HOA 董事會咧係討論咧係一個係付款嘅計劃嚇。咁雖然咧 HOA 冇義務咧係一定要係提供個咁嘅付款計劃俾你，但係你有權要求係討論呢樣嘢。
And if you are able to get on a payment plan, then that typically should stop ongoing fees and foreclosure activity.
咁如果係成功咧係有個付款計劃咧，咁好典型咧就係會將呢個係法拍屋啊或者係其他嘅向你訴訟啊咁嘅活動咧係都會係全部停止㗎啦。
And if you don't have a payment plan, then the HOA has to accept any payment you make, including partial payments.
咁如果冇一個具體嘅付款計劃咧，係你照樣付款咧，係HOA 必須要係接受你嘅付款嘅，包括咧你付嘅只係其中一部分，而唔係佢要求嘅全部。
Okay. And you don't have to have a payment plan in order to make a payment. You can just make the payments.
係啦，咁呢度再講一次，就係話你唔需要係有一個係呢個付款計劃嚇，你仍然可以係支付係你嘅欠款嚇，係唔需要嘅。
And the payments that you make have to, if you're making that payment towards your HOA debt, it has to first be applied to any HOA assessments you owe.
咁如果呢個係你支付嘅款項嘅話咧，係嘅債款咧，首先咧係必須係償還咧係你欠 HOA 嘅係徵收費用㗎。
Okay, and then in addition to assessment, the HOA can collect any reasonable costs that they have actually incurred, any late charges of 10% or $10 a month, and 12% in annual interest if you have past due assessments.
咁除咗係討回徵收費用之外咧 ，HOA 亦都可以係追討咧呢個，因為係要向你係追呢個欠款咧過程裏邊招致嘅合理嘅費用包括係每個月咧係10%或者係不少於10元嘅遲交費啦，或者10元嘅遲交費咧，就然後係年利息咧係12%嘅。
And the HOA cannot charge you for any costs that it did not actually incur due to your past due assessment.
呢個 HOA 咧係唔能夠向你收取咧係佢冇因為呢個原因招致嘅費用嘅。
Okay, so if you don't agree with a charge that you're being charged by the HOA, you should still pay the HOA anyway, but you can pay under protest. So you can, send them a letter saying that you're paying it, but you're paying under protest. And this will preserve your right to sue the HOA if you wanted to do that in the future.
咁如果你對 HOA 咧係要你係支付嘅某個付款咧，你係質疑咧係呢個付款嘅正當性咧，請你仍然需要係付款，但係咧付款嘅時候聲明咧係喺我係保留抗議下，我抗議之下付款嘅，咁之後咧你可以係申訴。
Okay, so and I think I mentioned this earlier, but the HOA must send you the pre-lien notice at least 30 days before actually recording a lien against your property.
咁正話亦都提過咧，就係 HOA 如果係要喺你對你個物業咧係記錄在案係留置嘅話咧，係必須要喺做呢樣嘢之前咧，至少30日之內咧係發出一個預留置通知係俾你嘅。
So in this next section, we're going to talk about ways to avoid foreclosure if you're having trouble making loan payments, whether it's your HOA payments or mortgage payments or other payments.
咁下一個環節咧就會講到係點樣係避免呢個係你個單位被發拍嘅咁係因為係欠交呢個係呢個係徵收嘅費用HOA 嘅費用咁。
So as a homeowner, there are a number of costs, number of payments you have to make. You have to pay, your mortgage, your property taxes, homeowners insurance, HOA fees, maintenance and repair fees.
咁作為一個係業主咧，有係一紮唔同嘅呢個係房屋相關嘅開支，你係要支付嘅。咁呢個包括係呢個房屋貸款啦，包括呢個房地產稅啦，包括係業主保險啦，包括呢個業主協會 HOA 嘅共渡公寓嘅收費啦，同埋一啲係維修同埋修理相關嘅費用嘅。
So as a homeowner, you have to keep up with all of these different payments. And if you don't keep up with these payments, all of them can eventually lead to foreclosure if you continue to not make these payments.
作為一個業主咧，你係要負責咧係支付以上所有嘅費用嘅喎。如果係你喺某啲方面你支付唔到嘅話咧，久而久之可能就會係導致咧你間屋係你個單位被發拍屋㗎啦。
Okay. So if you are having trouble making payments or you're experiencing financial hardship that's making it difficult to make housing payments, there are a couple of options for you in order to try to keep your home. And I'm going to go through those.
如果你係喺遇上係經濟困難咧，係冇辦法係支付呢個係房屋嘅開支嘅話咧，咁咧係有幾方面嘅唔同嘅方式咧係幫助你嘅，咁所以咧我係跟住咧會係稍微講講呢一方面嘅。
So one option is you can try to do a refinance of your loan. So this means you're replacing your existing loan by taking out another loan with more favorable terms, such as a lower interest rate or a reduced monthly payment.
其中個方向就係話對你現有個貸款咧做一個重新貸款嚇，呢個意思即係話通過借另外一筆嘅貸款咧，呢個通常係具有更有利條款嘅貸款，譬如話較為低嘅利息啊，或者係減低每月付款嘅金額啊，咁咧嚟替換你現有嘅貸款。
So this option, however, is generally not available if you're already in default and at risk of foreclosure.
但係咧呢個咁嘅選項咧，如果係你已經係拖欠呢個係好多錢，甚至係已經係喺發拍屋嗰個係嘅過程當中嘅話咧，咁咧就係再冇呢個咁嘅選擇嘅。
But forbearance is sometimes offered by your loan servicer if you are experiencing a temporary financial hardship. And what this means is that they will temporarily suspend receiving payments from you. So for a temporary period of time, you don't have to make payments on your mortgage or whatever loan that you have, and you can just temporarily not make those payments.
咁另外一種方式咧，就係得到呢個係你個貸款嘅服務方咧，容許你咧喺短暫嘅時間、短時期裏邊咧係暫停咧係支付你個係抵押貸款嚇，可以係延期先至支付咁樣嚇，咁臨時暫停或者減少還款，以及咧提供未來一段時間內咧每個月增加還款嘅還款計劃。
Okay, and then another option is a loan modification, where you negotiate with your lender to bring your loan current and to change the original terms of your mortgage.
咁另外一個方向咧就係修改個貸款啊，咁同你嘅貸款方咧係達成協議啦，解決所有係拖欠同埋罰金，咁咧就係並且咧係更改你原始嘅抵押貸款嘅條款。
Okay, so something to note about loan modifications is that when deciding whether to offer you a loan modification, the lender will look at your income and the value of your home, and they'll also look to see if you can afford the new payments if your lender does offer you a modification.
喺修改貸款嗰度咧，佢會對方會考慮咧你欠嘅係幾多啦，你有冇能力咧係去歸還晒所有嘅欠款啦，咁樣咧有幾個因素佢先至會係同你係修改你嘅貸款嘅。
And another thing to note is if you have a foreclosure sale date for your property already, and you still want a loan modification, you need to submit that application at least 5 business days before the scheduled foreclosure sale date in order to force your lender to postpone the sale and take a look at your application.
如果係你個單位咧已經係喺度發拍當中咧，如果你係有提前5日咧，你係能夠申請到咧呢個係重新呢個係修改你個係貸款嘅話咧，如果係得到批准嘅話咧，你可以係強迫到呢個係同你係發拍屋嗰方咧係延期你個發拍屋都未定嘅嚇，咁佢必須要係認真睇你嗰個新嗰個情況咧，先至係再進行嘅。
Okay. And then you can also try to reinstate your loan. So that means that you pay back all of your past due payments, including all fees, and you pay it back at least 5 days before a scheduled foreclosure sale date. And if you do that, then you can keep your property.
咁如果你係喺呢個喺咁嘅情況之下，你喺拍屋進行前5日，起碼5日咧，你能夠將所有嘅欠款啊，包括罰金啊，全部咧係支付到嘅話咧，你亦都可以制止到呢個法拍屋嘅進行嘅。
There's also, you can negotiate a repayment plan with your lender. So that just means where you spread out your past due payments and add them to your current mortgage payments.
咁你亦都可以同你嘅係貸款方咧係達成協議咧，一個償還嘅計劃咧，允許你將預期嘅金額分攤到你當前嘅抵押貸款裏邊嘅嚇。
So those are a couple of options to think through if you are having difficulty making housing payments. And as a last-ditch effort to avoid foreclosure, you may also consider filing bankruptcy.
咁以上咧就係一啲係你可以選擇嘅方向啦。咁如果真係所有都係唔得嘅話，係恢復原狀啊、償還計劃都唔得嘅話咧，咁最後嘅一種選擇咧係可能係宣布破產啦嚇。
And if you do want to consider filing bankruptcy, that could potentially postpone a foreclosure sale, but we would definitely suggest talking to a qualified bankruptcy attorney to discuss whether that's a good option for you.
咁宣布破產咧，亦都係同時可以影響到咧個法拍屋嘅日期咧，一定係要延遲嘅。咁但係咧就係究竟係應唔應該進行咧？咁應該係需要係揾法律嘅諮詢啦。咁係要向律師嚟諮詢嘅嚇。
Okay, so forbearance is something that is typically offered by lenders when you're having trouble making your payments. So if you're not able to pay your mortgage due to a reason related to COVID-19, you may have already requested a forbearance from your mortgage servicer, or you might be considering doing that.
咁呢個係抵押貸款延期付款咧，如果你係因為呢個新冠病毒咧係嘅疫情嘅原因咧，影響到你冇辦法係支付抵押貸款咧，你或者係已經係要求延期付款咧，或者係正在考慮呢樣嘢咧，咁你可以係用呢個理由咧係延期付款嚇。或者係減少或者暫停你嘅按揭還款嚇，然後喺日後先至係補翻嘅。
Yeah, and then we briefly described this earlier, but forbearance is just reducing or suspending your monthly mortgage payments, but then you do have to pay it back at a later date.
咁我之前提過咧，就係所謂延期付款，只係等你咧係遲啲先至付，或者係減少你每個月要付嘅錢，但係咧係最後咧日後咧仲係要歸還翻嘅。
So when you come out of the forbearance period, when the forbearance is over, as I mentioned, you do have to pay the money back. But your options in terms of how to pay that money back, it really depends on what kind of loan you have.
當然就係話你嘅延期還款咧係最終係都仲係要歸還嘅。咁但係咧係用點樣嘅有啲咩選擇咧之後咧點樣做咧係視乎你個貸款嘅類型咧係有分別嘅。
So for example, if you have a federally backed mortgage, such as a Fannie Mae loan or a Freddie Mac loan, then those have specific COVID-19 related protections through the CARES Act.
咁如果你係呢個貸款咧係呢個聯邦支持嘅貸款咧係咁咧都會有一個係新冠病毒一個支援救濟嘅一個法案咧喺背後咧係可以提供係相關嘅保障嘅。
So these types of protections are not guaranteed for private mortgages if you don't have a federally backed loan. But that said, a lot of banks have committed to providing COVID-19 relief.
咁私人貸款就係冇呢一方面嘅保證嘅，咁但係如果係政府支持嗰啲咧就會係有嘅。
And if you don't know what type of loan you have, you can submit a request for information to your loan servicer.
如果你唔清楚自己貸款咧係屬於邊種類型咧，你可以向你嘅貸款服務機構咧提交咧一個係要求資訊嘅一個係一個要求嘅。
Okay, and sometimes depending on whether you were current on your payments before the COVID-19 crisis, that may also impact what your post-forbearance options are.
你喺呢度睇下貸款延期付款期之後咧，有啲乜嘅選擇咧，亦都可以係視乎你嘅貸款咧係屬於邊一種嘅係咪聯邦支持咧？定係邊個係提供俾你貸款咧？係同你貸款性質係有關係嘅。
And if you would like to talk through your post-forbearance options, you're welcome to contact us at HERA, and we can help you.
咁你如果係需要喺呢方面嘅係支援嘅話咧，咁咧就係好歡迎你咧係接觸我哋機構咧 HERA 咧，係我哋一定會係提供呢個係支援俾你嘅。
Okay, so and just a reminder, just know that there is free help available out there. You can always contact our organization if you have any questions. And there are also a number of other steps that you can take in order to try to avoid foreclosure. So, and that includes, for one, is opening and responding to all your mail and any communications from your lender.
咁提醒大家就係話係我哋會提供一啲係免費嘅支援啦。咁大家總係可以係揾我哋咧係得到係幫助嘅。咁另外一樣嘢想提一提就係話點樣係避免係出現係你個單位被發拍咧？咁其中一樣嘢咧就經常咧係打開同埋回覆咧係由你係貸款方所寄俾你嘅所有郵件同埋通訊嘅。
So just wanted to say, definitely do not ignore the problem if you're behind on your payments. We would suggest reaching out to your lender right away to try to negotiate or modify your loan. And when you do that, be sure to keep a record of all of your conversations with your lender, including the date and the name of the person that you spoke to when you called them.
咁亦都咧係唔好忽視咧係呢個問題嘅，即係如果係有拖欠款嘅話，一定要係正視佢，亦都咧係立即同呢個抵押貸款人咧係聯絡嚟協商或者修改呢個房貸，亦都請你記錄咧同埋貸款方嘅所有嘅聯繫對話包括你哋交談嘅日期同埋係具體同邊個人交談。
Okay, and then it would be good to definitely try to avoid foreclosure scams. There are a lot of scam companies out there, so just want to remind everyone to be on the lookout for these kinds of issues.
肯定係需要你要小心係避免咧係成為咧係發拍呢個詐騙嘅受害人嘅，呢個係要非常之小心嘅。
So some things to look out for are if a company offers or is trying to charge you a high upfront fee for their services, or if a company tries to promise you that you'll get a loan modification, or if they ask you to sign papers that you don't understand, these are all things to look out for.
咁特別係如果係一間公司咧係提供服務，一開始就要你係俾一筆比較大嘅錢咧，或者佢係答應係可以幫你係做到呢個貸款嘅修改嘅話咧，答應係做到好多嘢嘅話，你就係呢啲都係要特別係小心咧，係會唔會係詐騙啊？
Okay, and now we'll go through some relief programs. And assistance programs that might be able to help you if you are having financial difficulty.
咁跟住咧會講一啲咧係如果你係遇上呢個係財務嘅困難嘅時候咧，有啲邊一啲嘅係業主嘅緩解嘅係計劃咧咁樣。
So the first program in California is the California Mortgage Relief Program. This is the program that's helping California homeowners to get caught up on their housing payments.
呢個首先一個就係加州房貸嘅救濟嘅計劃啦，就會係使用聯邦嘅援助基金嚟幫助係啲業主咧係支付係房貸嘅付款嘅。
Okay, and this program is completely free, and if you do get funds from the program, you do not need to pay them back.
呢個計劃咧係完全係免費嘅喎，如果你得到係資金嚟幫助嘅話咧，係唔需要係歸還嘅。
You can apply at this link here on the screen, and you can get up to $80,000 to reinstate your first mortgage if you're behind on your first mortgage.
你呢個你見到呢個網上呢個鏈接咧，你可以係呢個點擊呢度咧，係入去就係註冊申請嘅。咁最高可以幫助你咧係8萬蚊咧，係從而咧係恢復翻你個原有嗰個係房屋貸款嘅。
Okay, and this program is open to all eligible Californians. If they've experienced a COVID-related hardship and have fallen behind on their housing payments, we encourage you to apply.
所有呢個係加州嘅係業主咧，係如果佢係因為新冠病毒嘅疫情嘅影響咧，導致佢咧係冇辦法係支付到呢個係房貸嘅話咧，都係符合資格可以申請嘅。咁我哋鼓勵大家咧係如果有咁嘅情況咧，係一定要係提出申請。
So there is some criteria for this program. You had to have missed 2 mortgage payments before December 27th, 2021.
咁呢個計劃咧係有一啲嘅資格嘅要求嘅，必須咧喺2021年12月27號之前咧，至少咧係錯過咗係2次房貸嘅付款嘅。
Your household income must also be 100% or below your county's area median income. But if your income is slightly above that threshold, we still encourage you to apply because the program may be changing their income limits.
第二咧就係話你個家庭收入咧要係不高於咧你所在嘅縣嘅地區嘅平均嘅收入中位數就嘅100%嚇。咁但係如果你係稍為微高過呢個咁嘅界線咧，我哋仍然鼓勵你提出申請，因為咧隨住呢個時間咧係可能呢個界線咧係會有一啲調整都未定嘅。
And you must also be a homeowner of either a single-family home, a condo, or a permanently affixed manufactured home.
咁你亦都係必須有係一個屋主啦，擁有一個係單戶嘅住宅咧，係公寓或者係永久嘅固定嘅係所謂預製房屋嚇。
And you must have faced, of course, a COVID-related financial hardship after January 21st, 2020.
咁同時咧，你係必須要咧係喺2020年1月21日之後咧，因為疫情嘅情況咧係遇到係經濟困難嘅。
Okay, and there are other programs available. There is a program in Alameda County, the Alameda County Housing Secure Program, and that is a grant program of up to $30,000 to help you cure any housing debts you might be delinquent on.
亦都有係其他嘅係可以係幫助到嘅計劃，阿拉米達縣嘅住房安全計劃啦，咁咧就係可以提供係最高咧係3萬元嘅係贈款咧嚟解決呢個係房屋嘅係拖欠嘅債務嚇，咁呢包括 HOA 嘅費用嘅。
So this program the program funds here can be used to bring your mortgage current, as well as other bills such as property taxes, homeowners insurance, your PG&E bill, and of course your HOA dues.
呢個係除咗 HOA 嘅費用之外咧，亦都可以係呢個房貸嘅供款啦，可以係呢個物業稅啦，可以係係幾個方面嘅仲要包括呢個係水電呢個係公用事業公司嘅費用嘅。
And if you would like more information and want to fill out an application, contact HERA and we can help you to learn more and apply.
如果大家係有興趣係睇下合唔合資格咧，好歡迎大家咧係聯絡係我哋係團體，我哋係叫 HERA 嘅嚟等我哋係提供幫助嘅。
There's also a new program with the city of Hayward that will be rolled out soon. This is a loan program that's not available yet, but it's going to be helping homeowners who are having financial hardships.
亦都有一個係新嘅計劃咧，由希活市咧係提供嘅防止房屋係發拍嘅計劃嘅，咁而家仲未正式推出嘅，咁咧就係但係咧就可以係幫助到大家，鼓勵大家去留意嘅。
Okay, and to qualify for this program, the program details are still not set in stone, but you will probably need to be a low or moderate income household and financially impacted by COVID-19.
因為未曾正式推出啦，咁所以咧嗰個相關嘅規定咧，仲係未曾係太過清楚嘅。咁但係咧係大概係必須係屬於係低或者係中等收入嘅家庭咧，而且係個財務咧係曾經受過新冠肺炎疫情嘅影響嘅。
And again, it's not set in stone, but this type of loan will probably have a limit of $15,000, but that might change.
再一次就話未曾係十足係清楚啦，但係大概係可以幫助到咧係15000元左右嘅，但係就未曾係真係太過清楚嘅，仲係。
Okay, so just a reminder to everyone, free help is available if you need it. If you're going through financial issues related to COVID-19. And you're struggling to make payments, we urge you to connect with a housing counselor or reach out to us at HERA to discuss your options on how to prevent your foreclosure.
係啦，再講一次就係話係有免費嘅服務可以提供嘅。如果你係因為新冠疫情遇上困難冇辦法支付到呢個房屋嘅費用嘅話咧，鼓勵大家去揾呢個係房屋嘅係輔導員啦，咁亦都可以揾呢個係 HERA 我哋組織咧係提供幫助嘅。
So we can help you with negotiating with your mortgage lender, help you with support in terms of understanding your options with debt and credit, and also let you know about any programs you might be eligible for and help you to apply.
咁我哋可以提供到幫助咧，係同你呢個房貸嘅呢個係貸款方咧係傾啦，咁亦都可以係揾啲辦法，有冇辦法可以解決到你嘅債項啊？亦都係提供有冇係其他任何嘅資源啊、選項啊，係可能會幫助到你嘅。
Okay, and that about wraps up our presentation, and we just wanted to let everyone know that HERA provides an array of legal and financial housing counseling services, particularly in not just housing counseling, but also issues like debt collection, credit reporting, financial product recommendations, mortgages, estate planning, and services for veterans and service members.
亦都想提一提就係 HERA 我哋組織咧提供係各種各樣嘅係同房屋相關嘅服務啦，係法律方面啊、財務方面啦，咁亦都係有信用啊，亦都係有呢個係遺產呢個規劃啦，債務嘅係追溯啊，各種各樣嘅服務嘅。
So feel free to reach out to our organization if you would like help with any of the topics that you see on the screen.
咁你如果係想得到咧，係我哋呢個熒幕個頁面裏邊咧所提到咧，喺呢個相當之多唔同嘅服務咧，財務啊，抵押貸款退役軍人都有各種服務咧。如果係你有興趣嘅話咧，係好歡迎大家咧係同我哋係聯絡嘅。
And here's our contact information. 我哋個電話號碼係510-271-8443，同埋我哋個 email 係喺度係 inquiries@heraca.org。同埋我哋個 website 係 www.heraca.org。Okay. Are there any questions? 有冇咩問題？
係有冇人有問題？